Welcome back to Bay Sunday. The opioid crisis is making headlines as lawmakers and health experts scramble to do something about it. Well, there's a life-saving emergency treatment available now in the form of a nasal spray. It's called Narcan. And here to tell us more about it is Dr. Roger Crystal, CEO of Opiant Pharmaceuticals. Welcome to Bay Sunday.
Thank you.
All right, so let's start off by setting the scene. What exactly is the state of the opioid crisis addiction in America? What are we seeing?
So opioid addiction has been on the rise for several years now. And whilst originally one might have stereotyped this as being a disease typically of people who are very poor, people who are homeless, it's now as much a disease of soccer mums. It's throughout this nation. A big driver why we are where we are is because of prescription opioids, people using them too often, for too long. And that's what's got us to where we are now.
Why are we at this state? Why is it? Is it because of some of the drug companies out there, the pharmaceutical companies out there that are kind of pushing these opioids to patients?
There's some of that, but it's multifactorial. So when we look at it, there's the pharmaceutical companies who've originally developed these drugs. There's the misprescribing of these drugs, and therefore patients getting addicted. Mm-hmm. And then the actual abuse beyond that, so not just patients themselves taking opioids, but perhaps sons and daughters of a mother perhaps who's got a bottle of Vicodin in the bathroom cabinet using that as well.
Right. CBS News, 60 Minutes did a piece on this recently. So let's focus on how your company factors into all this. What are you guys doing?
So we are a biotech company. We're listed on NASDAQ, and we are committed to treating addictions quite broadly. Opioid addiction, opioid use disorder, to give it the proper name, is one of the three addictions we're focused on. And for us as a company, we are successful having developed this product, the Narcan nasal spray, that's licensed to our partner Adapt Pharma, but the product itself, if used quickly enough in the right setting, can save lives if people overdose on an opioid.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit more about this as we take a look at this. One-time use and it pretty much treats it, or reverses the...
Yeah, so this saves a life. So this doesn't treat the condition itself. We're working on other things for that. But what it does do is if you give the drug in time to someone who's not responsive, who you suspect is overdosed on an opioid, the body essentially will start breathing again. What's happening is that opioids block the breathing center in the brain, and that's why people overdose.
And are these being used in emergency rooms these days?
So originally naloxone, which is the main drug inside the Narcan nasal spray, was approved as an injection, and then it could only really be used in emergency rooms or by paramedics qualified. As a nasal spray, everyone can use it. So the idea is that bystanders, whether you're the mother of a teenager who's got an opioid addiction, they can have this in the bathroom cabinet. We note that Walgreens and 8,000 of their pharmacy chains, they're stocking the Narcan nasal spray as well. So we see this getting out far more broadly than the original user base of naloxone. Right.
So obviously this is a huge problem for many Americans, millions of Americans in this country. There's also a vaccine that you guys are working on. Tell us a little bit more about this.
So this very much represents a much earlier stage program. We as a company being committed to this space, we see that not just saving a life from an opioid overdose is essential, but treating opioid addiction more broadly. And a vaccine, it's a heroin vaccine. It's in very early stage testing, so I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver on this. So if the initial testing that's going on in the labs at the moment is successful, we've partnered this, by the way, we licensed it, should I say. So we licensed it from the Walter Reed Medical Center, so a very gifted team of scientists there. They're doing some more work, and if that work is successful, then we would look to take it into human testing later on as well.
Mm-hmm. And are there other similar products or vaccinations that are being researched by companies besides yours?
We're not aware of specific companies, but there are a lot of academics and researchers who are also looking at vaccines, and we really hope that this whole space of a vaccine-based approach for addiction can grow. We think it's a novel approach, but also quite compelling.
Yeah. So you started off as a surgeon, but now you're doing this. How has that been? It must be a challenge to go from the operating room to now this.
For me, it was the inspiration for me. The fact that whilst I really did enjoy my career as a surgeon, being able to impact on a patient level as opposed to a population level, that was the difference. So for me, getting into this space and recognizing, even as a surgeon, that the patient group that was most in need of medical care was and is the addict population. Here in the United States, we think that there's only, not just we think, it was a report from the US Surgeon General last year, only 1 in 9 addicts are getting the right type of treatment. If you applied that same statistic to, for example, diabetes or something like cancer, that would be outrageous. And the fact that it's like that here in addiction, we need to do better.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that something definitely needs to be done. Dr. Crystal, thank you so much for joining us here and giving us all that insight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, for more information about Narcan, you could go to narcan.com. Still ahead, an organization that is raising awareness about pancreatic cancer when Bay Sunday returns in just a moment.